Are you getting yourself ready for our show?
Alrighty, guys, jigs and bigs for this Tuesday. We've got a good one for you guys. Your boys, they've been doing some fishing through some nasty heat this week. And if you're in the Northeast, you've been with us too. We're going to talk a lot about that, guys. As far as Bobby Roast Beef is concerned, anytime, any place, and quite literally with anybody. While Sean can't figure out how an iPhone alarm clock works. So we're going to figure that out. Just a tip. We're talking about catching fish that are meant for you. What does that mean? We're going to dive into it. It's kind of heady, but this is a good thing. Think of it as like our little mental Monday. And then there's lots of details there, but an FTG, it's been a light week. You guys have been on your best behavior. As far as tourney stuff, we've got nerd stuff also to go through, all kinds of good stuff. We're week 1 into the Jigs and Bigs multi-species August tournament right now, and things are it's getting hot. It's getting real hot, guys. All this and more coming up in just a bit, guys. Don't go too far. Grab yourself something delicious to enjoy while we go ahead and give you guys some long-form podcast greatness right here. You're damn right. You're damn right. What a way to bring in a show. We got some jig heads in here watching this. Gravy Fishing in the house. How you doing, Gravy? Hope everything is good. He comments on the weather. He says, it's very moist. That is the right word.
He's not commenting on the weather.
No. Oh, hang on.
I don't know what's going on at Casa de Gravy, but...
Casa de Gravy. Extra gravy. My goodness. I'm going to go ahead and tweak your mic here a little bit, Sean, just to turn you up just a hair, because when I played the music, things got all crazy, all wily-like. So
it's my head banging. I apologize.
No, it's good. I like it. It's good. So we have an interesting show, guys. This is one of those things. I know we mentioned it last week about how schedules are crazy. You know, we talk and we complain about summer fishing and how tough it is and how tough it can be, and that's something you hear from anglers really all over the world, when it gets to this way. What ends up happening, though, is we have there's a lot going on. and that's for our guests, too. I have a bunch of guests that we're kind of juggling dates and times to make things sort of work out, and it's just taking some doing. So we'll get some interviews in here. Don't you worry, but we got some good stuff to go over this week. We got Blake Dodson in here. Says hello. Good afternoon, sexy gentlemen. Good afternoon to you as well. Man, it's been a wild week. I realized something today, Sean. Today is the first day I've put my kayak in the water since it's been in salt water. Yeah, I haven't taken my boat out at all this week. I've had so much crazy stuff going on. As far as my week goes, let's see, how did things start out? We got home and, we had the show recorded and everything, and everything was done there. Monday, did I get out? I don't think I got out at all on Monday. No, that's a lie. I did get out on Monday. I went out because I wanted to play around with a couple of frogs. So I went out to a local body of water, brought my frog rod only, and then my frog box. Brought that stuff out here because I was trying to pack like getting my day box ready like I do for the next day. So I was out at a local body of water, and I was visited by two moderately aggressive beavers. And I looked at them for the first time in my life, and I thought,
party time.
I thought party time, exactly. You motherfuckers could be dinner, and you should be dinner, because I have not stopped talking about how amazing the food element of that last weekend was, and thanks to everybody there and thanks to Three Bells for putting together such an amazing event. It was really fun and relaxed, and relaxed for everybody else. Derek and Lauren had like a mountain of stuff to deal with and juggle, and they handled it like champs. So appreciate them. That was really, really fun. So I had gone out Monday and just kind of got some picked out some frogs for the day that I was having the next day. I went out out with Wild Bill and who the fuck is that guy? Joe Brown. Yeah, I found out who Joe Brown is. Joe Brown catches bass where I catch yellow perch, apparently, is what we learned on that little mission. And this was my first time on his brand new, beautiful Skeeter. That lovely green pumpkin bass boat. Oh, my goodness. We had a great time. It was interesting. You know, I think that there is nothing that beats the conversation between a small group of humans on a fishing vessel or multiple vessels within earshot and the conversations that they have. There is no better content on earth than that. In fact, Wild Bill and myself, we had shared stories about, because, my wife and I have an interesting story, and apparently Wild Bill and Mrs. Wild Bill also have an interesting story. So we kind of swapped notes. We had a good time. It was a lot of fun. Everybody caught some fish. Nobody got skunked. I may have had a pin yellow perch. That was a tank. How big was it? It was 13. And I was like, man, I don't know. Yeah, it might have been.
I think you're close. I think pin yellow perch are 14.
Yeah, I think that's what we were wondering, if it was either 13 or 14, but it was a good one. And so that was Tuesday. Had a good time, got back into town, went out and did trivia that night. And the music round that I had done, and you were there actually at trivia that Tuesday night. It is 14. Gravy's telling us it's 14 inches. Always, story of my life, always an inch short. Jesus.
Still a beast.
Oh, yeah, still. And actually, you know what? If I would have had a cooler, it would have been lunch. Because that sucker would have had great fillets on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had gone and my music round this week was inspired from the Salty Shootout with Three Bells and our journey there. So I took songs that kind of detailed my trip and the elements that were there. So we had songs about the sea or the ocean, salt. We had songs about the food. We had songs about drinking too much. We had songs about like all kinds of stuff. It was a great time. And yeah.
That night when I went, did you notice my son hung me out to dry on one question?
I think so.
We had a music round question.
I think so, yeah.
And it's generally common practice for everybody there. If you've got multiple teams at a table, everyone helps each other out. It's only a $5, a $10, $15 gift card generally.
Yep.
Yeah. So I like getting a couple dollars off. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Yeah.
And there was a newer song that I thought I knew the name of in the music round. I clicked on it and I said to my son, "It's this, right?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Okay, well, what is it?" And he goes, "I'm not telling you." I said, "As you're walking over." I go, "Why not?" He goes,
I remember this now. Yeah.
I wanted to hit the buzzer. I go, "Dude, it's for gift cards." And then he let me fucking sway in the wind and I did not get it right. And I said, "Thanks a lot." So lesson learned. Don't trust a 14-year-old.
That's true, man. You can't trust them. I think if it's the song that I'm thinking of, I think it's this one. I think it's this one here that I played.
What you know about rolling down in the deep when you bring,
which is very popular among fishing content creators and their Instagram stories. It's all over the place. So that's where that inspiration came from. But I was like, yeah, we're in the ocean. Yeah, sure, I'm going to use that. Good stuff. Lots and lots of good stuff. Wednesday, I had an appointment with my barber, Emily, the East Side Barberess on Instagram. You should go follow her. She is wonderful. She works at Parlor Flated in Holyoke and makes me look presentable. At least I would say as most presentable, being on a scale of 1 to 10, being a 10, she definitely gets me to a good solid 7, which is, she has to put some work in. That is for sure. So, I had gone to the barber and gotten all that stuff and kind of like fucking scary shit. But before I left for my appointment, my little gray Boston Terrier had a seizure. Scared the shit out of me. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah, she was just laying on the couch, and I was doing some work on the couch because this week, what I've been doing is I had a wedding on Friday night, and I've been doing prep for that. I've been trying to get ahead with getting some trivia stuff together. Plus, I just launched a brand new podcast for the trivia business itself, working with my partner that represents speed quizzing in the U.S., Bill Adams up in Maine. So we launched that. So I had a bunch of things going on. And you know how like when dogs are dreaming, they kind of like kick or move kind of funky or everything. And that's what I thought was going on. And then I went over. She was foaming at the mouth. I was like, oh my God. So I scooped her up and I put her on the floor so she wouldn't fall off the couch, right? Let her finish what she was doing. I called my wife. I was like, what do you think I should do? She's like, let me make some phone calls and see what's up. She's okay. She never had another seizure. The vet did ask me if she does have another one to record it and then bring her in. And I said, okay, that's fine.
My first dog, which was our last, we're on our second and third right now.
Yep.
My first dog, she had seizures and we had to get her on medication for it. And that knocked him down to like maybe one a year and a half. You know what I mean? Like, she had a number of them back to back, and we got her on the medication.
Yeah.
And that
scaled it way
took
back.
Care of it.
Which is great, but this has never happened before. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Now, the other thing that's cool about Wednesday is that my youngest daughter is changing schools. She's going to a regional school, and I'm very, very impressed with this facility. What a nice place. And so we went there for it was like a new student, like not really like a full orientation, but just like a meeting where you could discuss classes and put some things together. She got to meet a couple teachers and guidance counselors and stuff, meet some of the other students that were starting who all are actually from the same town where we are. So they'll be on the bus together. So very, very cool. But it's not far from a local farm and smokehouse. And your boy cashed in. So I picked up some andouille sausage, which was out of this world. And so when I got home from this, I was making breakfast. Because I like to eat breakfast a little bit later. I don't like to necessarily eat a big meal first thing in the morning. I usually have a cup of coffee, drink a bunch of water, and then, I'll just eat later. So it works great for fishing because then I go out and fish and I'll have a big stomach full of food while I'm out there. So I go out and we come back in, I'm making breakfast, and I was in my own head about the seizure, and I dropped a piece of andouille on the floor. And I was like, oh yeah, she can get it. That's no problem. Then she has a seizure. I'm like, okay, that's it. No more smoked meats for you. Done deal. More for me. Fuck. So yeah, we did. So that was that. I went to my appointment with my barber, and then afterwards I said, you know what? I got a couple hours. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna just catch a couple of fish, see what we can do. And I got Ned Rig nerdy at a local body of water. This is the first time I've fished. Well, no, not really, but I mean I haven't fished from the bank this year much at all, and it's kind of nice, using that more as a treat, just for like that quick hour or two. So I went out and I caught some. 3 or 4, all nibblers, like perfectly in line with what I've been on all this year. I haven't, like I said, I've caught one largemouth that was at 17 inches. Everything else has been within that like 9 to 12 inch window. Like just everything else. And what's crazy is even when I'm at other bodies of water, everything. I mean, shit, I think I caught a 12 or maybe it was a 13 off the check when I was in Maryland, and that yellow perch. That was it. And then when I was with Joe and Wild Bill, I caught that one yellow perch. So I had gone out, got some numbers, and that was kind of nice. Left there, did work, did all that stuff. Thursday, I don't think I got out Thursday at all. I had a lot of stuff to get ready. And then Friday was my wedding day. That was the day where I did a wedding. Now, this is an interesting wedding because this wedding came to me because of this show directly. We have a listener who is a huge fan, Scott Miller. Wrong button. Scott... He'll appreciate that. It was awesome. We had a great time. It was an outdoor wedding in this heat. It was intense, pun intended. It was brutal out. It really was, and I think we just skirted a pretty significant thunderstorm. Actually,
hopefully not a snowstorm.
Dude, I would have loved a snowstorm. That would have been wonderful. It was awesome. So Scott, Steph, congratulations, guys. It was wonderful working with you. And Scott had come up to me and said, before, things had kind of got together before the ceremony, he's like, he's like, I was so psyched, man. He's like, I can't believe you're here. I saw the truck out there with the Hook's Head Hoodlum sticker on the back, and I was just like, he's here. So we had a great time. It was awesome. And when I do weddings, oftentimes, if the crowd and the chemistry is right, oftentimes I play 2 songs back to back. And then like what I'll do is I'll make a joke and talk about the second song is Fire Burning from Sean Kingston, and it starts where he sings Somebody Call 911. Shorty's fire burning on the dance floor. And normally I make a joke and I say, where's the bride? Or where's the groom? And I'll say, when you get home, make sure that you check your insurance premiums and go everything and I like to say this because it's the first time anybody's ever said it to them. They go, because your wife is burning it up on the dance floor, and everybody gets a good laugh at it because the bride's big moment and everything. Everybody loses their mind. It's great. It was Scott on the dance floor that was losing it. So for the first time ever, I got to do this where I called out Steph and I said, hey, make sure to check your insurance paperwork because your husband is out here, and he was throwing down. It was great.
You had mentioned to me that he wasn't just losing it. There were other things being lost, and particularly clothing items.
So I'm going to share this too. A calling card, and I'm not necessarily proud of this, but I'm not proud of this either. But a calling card, for whatever reason, at a lot of the weddings that I work, there seems to be a lot of shirtless people. And they're all men. They're all men, a lot of shirtless men at my events where, everybody's going nuts on the dance floor or something. And then some dude just decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to pop this shirt off. I think that's a good moment right here. In this case, it was Father of the Groom. That was just living his best life. Although, given the heat situation, I'm not mad at anybody for that. Not at all.
No.
Yeah. Given I was wearing short sleeves. I never do that when I'm doing a wedding. And I was like, if I wear my jacket, I'm going to die.
It's been real bad. We'll get into that in a minute after I kind of go through what I did here this week. This week was, it was fun.
Yeah.
But it was a little, it was fun. It was a little painful. So we
one more thing. I got one more thing.
I'm sorry. What, I fuck up?
So I had, the wedding was Friday. It was awesome. I went to, came home, it was kind of it was like almost a 2-hour ride back. Got home, immediately jumped in the shower, then hit the hay. I was done. Woke up nice and early and went down to my storage, dropped off all my gear, got things ready because I had to go to a 100th birthday party for my Aunt Mary. And we got the kids, and we all went down, had a great time. It was a lot of fun. Some of my family, my cousins from California were out there. Great to see a lot of people I haven't seen in a long time. Some of my first cousins that are they live all over the state showed up with their kids. And I was like, when did you adopt adults? What the hell happened here? It was just bananas. A lot of fun, great stuff. And then Saturday night, kind of kept it low key. My wife and I ran some errands, and see, this is okay. I'm going to add an extra just the tip. Okay. Here's the thing, dudes. Specifically, I'm talking to married guys or folks that live with their girlfriends, okay? If you're out at an event or out doing something and you're looking to fish that next morning, okay? You've got nothing lined up that afternoon or evening at all. And you hear your significant other say, yeah, I think tomorrow morning we're going to get up nice and early. We'll go out and get groceries done or whatever errand needs to be done that day. Say, you know what? Yeah, we got all this time in the afternoon. Why don't we just go out now and get it all done? And then sneak in later at the end of the night after you've spent the entire day doing, family stuff and having a great time. Go, yeah, I'm thinking about getting up nice and early tomorrow and hitting the water, drop the old kayak in the water. And it works like a charm. It worked great. So that's what brought me to Sunday. I got up bright and early this morning, did my morning constitutional, and then headed out to the water to go and try and catch a greenback, a largemouth bass over 17 inches. Did I succeed? I did not. However, I did catch a couple. One of them was a little dink. I was kind of fishing a lot of like submerged grass. This is that body of water I told you about that they had treated for vegetation. And I was really concerned if like we were going to lose it all. I don't think we have anything to worry about because the coontail and the milfoil in this body of water is bright green. It is living its best life. It's not as up as it was in a lot of spots, but there's still plenty of grass. And I had gone and first thing I did bright and early was just ripping around a buzz toad over the tops of the grass. And what I had noticed was I was seeing a lot of these small largemouth cruising above the grass out a little bit further from the bank. You know, maybe like about 9-10 feet, something like that, but on top of the grass. I think that's what these small strikes were just these small bass. So I move in and I'm like, okay, well, let's go ahead and start working under some of the low-hanging trees and stuff. And I decided what I would do is I was going to start throwing around a paddle tail. You and I talked about a specific jig head that I was throwing around today that I'm kind of a fan of. And I was throwing that around a little bit. And this body of water for me does great with green pumpkin soft plastics with a little bit of chartreuse dip. Mm-hmm. Just a touch, because it's funky. The water is very, very stained, but the clarity is still like 2.5 feet. You know, I'm not going to complain about that. Like, it's okay. So I've been using natural colors, but I add a little bit of highlight in there, and it seems to work a lot of ways. So I had started out with, throwing that buzz toad. Then I'm throwing my swim bait, and that got nothing. And with the grass where I was fishing was actually just picking up so much grass. I decided instead what I would do is scale down and throw a proper Ned. And I got bit on a green pumpkin with a little chartreuse. I said, okay, and this was that dink. And I said, well, let's try and size up a little bit. So I grabbed my jig rod, right? And I threw what I've been doing lately is I've been taking, and it's actually the Jigs and Bigs jigs that I've been throwing. So I took a green pumpkin jig, and I trimmed the skirt basically so that it's just at the bend of the hook, to keep it as compact as I can. And then I've been using, and I freaking love this as a trailer, the 6 Sense Stroker Craw. I'm a fan.
I have not seen those.
Its claws are more in line with like a curly tail grub. Like they have that kind of action, and they're also not like big and floppy. They're a little bit thinner, and it just kind of works really well. So I just dipped the claws in some JJ's Magic, and I just started working a lot of timber all up in the bank, and I caught one that was a 14.5. Okay. Better fish. That's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to size up. That's why I was throwing a bigger presentation, and it worked. But something really fucking cool happened. And I teased this on Instagram. Something cool happened. So what happened was this. There's a big, right at the bank at this one area, there's a submerged tree. And it's just, I don't know if it's broken up or something, but there's like random sticks that just kind of stick up over by the bank. So I just toss right into it with this jig. Just get right into that cover. And you know how like when a fish grabs your bait and is swimming toward you, your line doesn't react the same way. Like it. Like, okay, something's going on here. So I reel down to it and I go to set the hook. That jig came flying right back at me. I was like, what the hell? But it came back without a claw. So I'm like, okay, maybe we have a pickerel down there. Maybe we have a bowfin. Who knows? And as I'm sitting there in the water, right at that threshold where the visibility starts to clear up, I see a larger bass swim up, and he's doing like where'd it go? Like looking around. So I just open up the spool and drop the jig down. Slowly, it just sinks right down in front of him. He grabs it. Keep in mind, the spool's open. I'm just holding the tension. And as he starts swimming, I let out a little extra line, engage the reel, set the hook, and put him in the boat.
And that was a 14?
That was the 14.5.
Nice job.
I've tried so many times where like I've missed a fish and I can see it and I'm like, I'm going to put the same bait right there. Oh my God. And it's never worked out. But this is one of those moments. I told my wife about it. She's like, that's how I fish. She's like, oh, there's a fish. But I was like, this was amazing. Like, saw the bite and everything. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to record a little video clip. We'll tease the show with this. So it was nice. Very, very nice. Then I fished for about another 45 minutes. And then I got to that like 10:30 window. And I was like, I'm done. I can't do it. It is so hot. This is gross. But I was wearing the gray Bass Dash hoodie that I have, and it looked like a darker shade of gray. It was just soaked 100%. It was just awful. So I got back in there, had a good conversation with some folks at the ramp. They were loading up to go head out. We had a good time. It was a lot of fun. So that was my week. I did get on some fish. I'm still looking to break that 17-inch mark for 2022. I don't know what's going on, but we'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. I did set up some tentative plans with one and only Mr. Matt Thayer for next weekend. Yeah, well, for next week. We might have to change the day, though, because my kids and my wife are going to the beach for a girls' trip. So I have 2 Bostons. I can't really go out of town for very long. I got to deal with all them. So I got to be local for the most part. So either I'm going to try to reschedule with him so that we can get out, or we'll schedule for another time. But yeah, looking to do some shit, man. Looking to do some shit. So tell me about your week. And I'm really curious about this whole alarm clock situation.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
That was today. I'm going to start back in time.
Yep.
And this is with your recent woes and the 17-inch mark. You're not going to want to hear this, but
hey, I'll celebrate with you. That's fine.
Yeah, I had my 4th round knockout matchup for MAKB.
That's right.
New England wide.
Yep.
On Friday, I was taking on Neil Raposa. I have not met Neil face to face that I know of, but he seems like a nice enough guy. Mm-hmm. This was the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four, where Derek Brundle was waiting for one of us. Or is now waiting for Neil. Spoiler. I went to I said it on the show last week, the week before. I went to a place that I've had a ton of luck at.
Yep.
I feel confident at. I generally go there and I do the job. Not always, but most of the time. The A1 site out in Westboro. And I actually did something a little odd. Again, playing on one of our themes from a previous show. I brought 2 boats that day. I brought 2 boats for me.
Oh, you brought 2 boats to A1?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't realize that.
I brought my Slayer. So if I was going to stick with the front end, I didn't know how bad the front end was. That's why I bought 2 boats.
Yeah.
With the heat and the water levels being so low everywhere, you're seeing places that would had spots to fish that were maybe 50-50 that are now unfishable due to the weeds because the water's just dropped.
Yeah.
I brought that second boat in case I needed it to get across the front part of the pond. That usually is a little more open, and then the back end is messed up with weeds and stumps and everything else. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be sure that I could fish it because I didn't get a chance to pre-fish. This is actually the first time I've been there since April.
Yeah.
So I got there. We started at 5:00 in the morning. We went 5 to 1. I got there and it was pitch black. And I said, fuck it. I've got to use a Slayer. I got there a little late. Not due to an alarm clock. That was just me dragging my ass in the morning. Got there a little bit late, still in time to throw out a first cast at 5. And it was relatively clear, so that there were some spots I hit with a prop, but not, not showstoppers. 5:15 or 5:30, I can't remember what it was. I hit my first bass. I went to a spot that I normally frequent first, and I didn't get anything there. And then I said, well, I'm going to try spot B on the front end.
Yeah.
My first bass was 19.5. I felt pretty damn good. Then I caught an 11. Then I caught a 17.5. So now I've got, it's not even 6:00. I've got a limit.
Yeah.
And it's over 40 inches. And then my 4th fish was 15, 16, 17, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. Well, here's what happened for the rest of the day. I continued to catch fish. I ended up catching 3 dozen bass in 8 hours. Yeah. And I probably lost, I think I lost 2 of them, but they weren't huge. I played them really for time because when I saw they were small, I was like, fuck it. If they jumped, I didn't drop the rod tip. Just said, let them throw the hook themselves.
Yeah.
Where I got stuck was I put in the 19.5. I got at one point in the mid morning, I had the 19.5, a 17 3/4, and a 17.5. Mm-hmm. At some point, I caught an 18 that got docked a 1/4 inch. I don't know why. I think it was just barely on the line. I did not contest it for reasons that I will talk about in a second.
Yep.
So I was sitting there at 19 and a half, and I had an 18 and a 17.75. And then when that one got docked, it was 17.75, 17.75. I then proceeded to catch 4 more 17.75s. I could not break 18 for whatever reason.
Really?
During that time, Neil started rough. I think by mid-morning he had 39 inches. So he was on 3 nibblers. And I'm like, oh, maybe he picked the wrong pond. And he and I talked. I called him to congratulate him at 1 o'clock. He came back and won, dude. He got a 20 and a half, and then he got a 17 and 3/4 and a 17 and a half, and that 20 and a half put him over. So congrats to Neil if you've got that applause.
Dude, that is...
When I talk about this tournament
Yep.
to people, and they ask what the limit is, for what the bag limit is and what some of the solid numbers are, I usually say, like, you need 40 inches no matter what to show up. You don't know if it's going to win or lose. I've won with 39 before, but you need 40 inches just to acquit yourself. That's 3 13-inch fish, or some combination of 8s, 12s, and a 20, whatever. But you need 40 inches. You get to 45, now you're going to start talking a little bit competitively. 50, where the line, like, kind of you need 50.
Yeah.
If you get over 55, you generally are going to win.
You feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I put up 55 and a quarter, and I've averaged over 50 this whole tournament, and I still lost by 3/4 of an inch.
Isn't it wild, man? And Dude, if I'm not mistaken, like, you strategically didn't use that spot because it performs.
Yeah, and I knew I was going to put up over 50 there. That no matter what, you're getting 3 17s, or at least I am when I fish it. I'm getting 3 17s out of there.
Yeah.
So let's start with 51, and that's if they don't have change. So let's start at 51. If I feel comfortable with putting up over 50, and if somebody beats me, dude, what can you do?
No,
you're not going to win every one. I always come back to what Nate Shagnon said last year, and it stuck with me. It's the greatest thing he's ever said. He said, when you fish at this caliber of tournament,
dude?
Well, let me
Obviously.
really, I got to quote it now. I was going to paraphrase, but now he said, dude.
Perfect.
I said, yes. I said, yes, Nate. He said, you gotta, in these tournaments at this level, you gotta have everything go your way and something go wrong for everybody else.
Yeah, no, he's 100%
absolutely right.
Yeah.
And you know what? The first half of Neil's day was probably not
ideal,
everything he needed, but the second half was, and he beat me, dude. I mean, it happens. Shit happens. I lost by 3/4 of an inch. Also, during my conversation with Nate, so Neil's path to now the Final Four against Derek Brundle was, and I'm going to possibly mess up who got what, but the numbers are right. Keep that in mind. His first round matchup against Ryan Pierce, he won by an inch, beat Ryan by an inch. Second round matchup against John Medina, beat John by 3/4 of an inch. Third round matchup against Nate, beat Nate by an inch. Fourth round matchup against me, beat me by 3/4 of an inch. Neil has been living, to quote Dusty Rhodes, on the edge of a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking great tournament,
Just
Neil.
squeaking them over, but yeah, man, that's what counts.
Good luck to both him and Derek in the next round, man. That was
It'll be very
that was
exciting.
a hell of a day. I mean, when you sit there, I caught 11 fish over 17 inches.
Yeah.
11 fish over 17 inches, coming back to what we were talking about with your woes this year. One day, 11 fish over 17 inches, and
That's
I couldn't
insane.
beat him.
Fuck
it happened.
me. You know what? Although your day could have been worse. You could have fished that tournament and caught somebody else's rainbow trout, and then that could have been it for you, you know? So there is a bright side. So if we're looking at everything here, there is a bright side.
Yeah, and there was something that happened on the lake that day, on the pond this Friday that I'm actually going to get into on Just a Tip, but we're going to leave that simmer for now. But yeah, great job, Neil. Congrats. Good luck against Derek Brundle, and it's going to be a great matchup.
It is. It's going to be intense.
Yep. I did get out today. Now with the heat wave we've been having, I've been really focusing. If I can get out in the mornings, that's great. If I can't, fuck it.
Yeah.
It's just going to be the end of it. This is funny. When we got back from Connecticut from the Salty Shootout, Nelson and I both have Garmin fish finders.
Yep.
His Garmin fish finder was left in my car. I thought it was mine. So I went to go hook mine up. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It's all different connections. He has a touch screen, so he's got he looks like he has some sort of a ribbon cable type connector, whereas I have plugs. I have Canon plugs.
Yep.
So I'm like, what is going on here? And then I realized, wait a minute, there's no shade hood on this thing. This isn't mine. What the fuck? So I'm calling Nelson and John as we all traveled together, and shit could have got mixed up. I called Nelson. It was his. So he was planning on fishing this morning. So yesterday, after I was done doing, I had some volunteer work to do around the lake, and then I had some other shit going on. I just said, fuck it, I'll drive 45 minutes out to Nelson's house, drop it off there. While I was there, I had an ulterior motive. I said, Nelson, I know you're planning on fishing Sunday. Come fishing with me. I want to take you to this spot on the Connecticut River. It's a bitch to get into. It was where I went fishing in the tournament for the EKF. And I said, I want to go down there. We got jigs and bigs time. I said, I want to get on a smallmouth, which shouldn't be a problem.
Yep.
Preferably one with size. And I said, I think my chances are good at getting on a walleye down there. Right. But I said, we got to go light. We got to travel light. I said, here's what I'm bringing. I brought 2 bags of creature baits.
Yep.
I bought 2 bags of small stick worms, all for Ned rigging. And then just in case, I bought 3 bags of some other stuff. I brought 2 bags of Zoom flukes because I know smallmouth will whack those.
Yep.
I never even got a chance to use those. And then I brought just in case, I brought a bag of fresh bait scorpions. I had them with me and I wanted to try them. I never got to use them.
Yeah.
So all those baits, Ned heads, some extra wide gap hooks for the flukes. I use those. And I brought 4 white Xeraspooks of various sizes.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
2 rods, my frog rod, which is my top water rod for the spooks, and my Ned rig rod. And I brought I slimmed down even more. I did not bring my Native Ultimate FX. I brought my old Native Ultimate, which I think is one of their first runs. It had a drop down skeg. That's how old it is. It's about 15 to 20 years old. It's probably the first run they ever did, because they stopped making that drop down skeg like 2 or 3 years in.
Yep.
So that thing weighs a grand total of, I think, 40 pounds. It's so light. You can throw it on your shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
So
and that's what you want
I begged
for that
Nelson,
kind of place. That's what you want.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I needed. So this was so slimmed down. And I said, let's go down there. Don't bring a lot. Let's do this. I said, I will meet you there at 5 a.m.
Yep.
And here's where the alarm clock issue comes in.
Oh.
Everyone has multiple alarms set, I'm sure, for this, that, and the other thing. I had one that for whatever reason, I had a number of Fridays I had to be up early to fish.
Yep.
And I had a separate Friday alarm. I set that for today, which is not Friday.
Oh, yeah. That's no good, man.
So I wake up and I'm like, why didn't my alarm go off? What fucking time is it? And I look over, I'm like, oh shit, it's 5 o'clock. My wife heard me get up and I'm just swearing, fuck me. I'm a stupid piece of shit, fucking idiot. And I walk downstairs, I call Nelson, I go, hey, he goes, what's up? I go, I'll be there in an hour because it takes an hour to get there.
Oh, yeah.
I said, I fucked up with my alarm.
I just woke
I'll
up.
see you in an hour. And I told him, get down there, start fishing, because that was the whole point. It was to be there at daybreak before the fucking heat.
Oh, yeah.
And he waited for me. So I owe him an apology for that. Nelson, I am sorry. I don't know how to work a fucking alarm clock, and I fucked up your golden hour of fishing in the morning. Second thing, while I'm apologizing to Nelson, remember that story I told about asking everybody how they felt after the last MAKB event with the scoreboard off?
Yes.
Yeah. Nelson actually said, keep it on. He wanted it on, and he did not like fishing that way. He did not like fishing so intensely for 8 hours, where I thought he did. I thought he was saying that he enjoyed fishing, like he's never fished that hard for 8 hours, and it was a badge of honor, and I was incorrect. He did not find that enjoyable. So, Nelson, I'm sorry. I fucked up, dude. It's my bad.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I fucked up today telling you to be there at 5, and I didn't get there till 6 because I'm a piece of shit. And then he waited for me. I'm like, dude, go out there, catch some fish. What the fuck?
Yeah.
That being said, my first fish of the day, very, very happy fish. I'll take a 16.5-inch smallmouth.
Why not?
When it absolutely obliterates a Xeraspook. Obliterates. I was so happy, got that guy in. And then it was just all Ned rigging for the rest of the day. They went.
Yep.
I fucked up. I missed the top water bite. But Nelson was cool with the place. He said, "Yeah, we'll have to come back here one time or not." The rest of the day, and this is why I love smallmouth so much. I mean, this is why everyone loves smallmouth.
Yeah.
The biggest fish of the day either of us caught was a 17.5-inch smallmouth. I got it in major current where I was having problems controlling my boat because I was just a bobber. I threw the Ned rig into a 4 foot deep, just straight current riffle, and I got blasted. And I felt it pull, and when it felt the hook, it went down to the bottom and came straight up like a fucking great white. It was 17 and a half inches. It was about 20, 25 feet away from me. I had to look up at it in my boat because it cleared the water by 4 to 5 feet.
No shit, like a torpedo, just like
it went straight up like a great white hitting a fucking seal, 4 to 5 feet out of the air. I went, oh my God. I thought it was a lot bigger than it was, but no, it was 17 and a half of pure fucking smallmouth muscle. So I got that in, got the pictures taken. That went into the Jigs and Bigs tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But then this is the same spot again I used for the tournament, and I caught a walleye during the tournament. I said, let's see if I can start getting walleye regularly. And all I did was switch the little worm I was using on my Ned rig from one color to white.
And bingo.
And I don't carry a lot of white. My second cast, I got smoked on the bottom, and it was a shitty fight. And I'm like, did I just hook a walleye, or is it another fucking fall fish? 16-inch walleye. I'm like, now I'm a walleye guy.
They're pretty much dead weight, like when you hook into them.
That one, the first walleye I ever caught in Minnesota, that was on a deep diving spinnerbait. It was on a fucking 3/4 ounce spinnerbait. It was huge. That thing fought like it was on fire.
Really?
But this one was just dead weight. The one I caught at the tournament, that one fought pretty well. The one in Oneida fought well. That was in the weeds looking for food.
Really?
This is the only one that was just.
I've always, I mean, and it might just be what I've heard from folks that do fish walleye is that you hook into them and that like it's certainly not like catching something like a bowfin or a pike, the fight,
No.
But it's just bananas.
Yeah, I mean, three out of the four that I've caught have.
You mentioned,
I'm not an expert.
Two things that remind me something about my week that I left out. Number one, fresh baits. I caught that yellow perch on a fresh baits Helamite on a Ned rig.
Ooh.
And all of the fish that I caught after the barber were on a Helamite as well. Finally starting to like really, I mean, it's such a great plastic. It really is such a great size. You know what I mean? And there was one other trip that I had forgotten to mention. You mentioned the river, and there's a spot near me that I like to fish for the river. And I was down there for the first time. I've seen current doing exactly the opposite what I've accustomed to it doing. I had heavy current coming out of one spot that is normally generally pretty slack. And then on the other side, the larger side, it was much, much more calm. And I saw massive smallmouth cruising up and down around the rocks. I saw a carp this carp must have gone 30 pounds. Giant carp. I mean, absolute giant. So I had started off throwing a Zara spook initially, and just to see if I could get anything on topwater. Figure start early, and couldn't get a bite there. And then I had switched to a finesse swim bait, and then switch down to a Ned rig, and I couldn't get a bite. And once I get down to that Ned rig size, that's when I start playing the plastic game, the colors, the action. Do I want to throw something that's totally dead or deader, or do I want to throw something that's really, really got lots of action, like a curly tail grub or something like that? And I just could not get a bite for anything. Although that time of day, I was fishing at like 10 a.m., bluebird skies, like I could see these fish. They knew I was there. There's, you know what I mean? It was just like I wasn't really surprised, but I was hoping to get a smallie. I haven't caught a single smallie this year.
Yeah, we hit all of our fish.
Yep.
I mean, throughout the whole day. I mean, it slowed down a little bit around 9:30, 10, but for the morning, all the fish we caught were relatively shallow, 3 feet or under, 4 feet or under, at the most. And they were just in current. It was heavy current. They were fish in a foot or less as long as the current was there.
Yeah, as long as it was there. Yeah.
Yeah, we had no problems. I mean, we ended up with 3 dozen, just shy of 3 dozen, almost, I think we got 32 or 33 between the two of us. So that when I went and updated my log when I got home.
Yep.
So this year is the most smallmouth I've ever caught. This brought me up to 86 smallmouth for the year. So I might hit triple digits with smallmouth.
That's awesome, dude. That's huge. That's quite the accomplishment. I mentioned that my wife and kids, they're taking a girls trip going to the beach together. I had sent a message last night to Paul, and I was like, hey, getting out first thing tomorrow morning. If you want to join me, open invitation, meet me here. He couldn't do it. He's like, man, we haven't really gotten out to fish this much this year. And I told him, I said, year's not over yet, man. We got plenty of time. Do not worry. I said, it's hotter than hell right now anyway. So like I think this fall is going to be good. I'm expecting big things for fall because like I said, I'm continuing this 2 trip a week and I have a little addendum to put on at the end of that as well. So I told my, I said to Paul, I was like, listen, the girls are all going to the beach over the weekend. I can't go like too far out of town or anything like that. I said, but what if you and I pick a day and we take a day and we do something like maybe within 30, 45 minutes away, something like that, something kind of nearby, we'll go 3-4 hours maybe. And then I can come home, take care of the dogs, whatever. Like we'll grab lunch and stuff, do whatever we got to do. He's like, yeah, it sounds like a good idea. I'm taking him to the site of the goose wing incident. I knew it. Yeah, I knew it. It's just I met a guy today on the water. Shout out to Maddie. Nice meeting you, buddy. Told him about the show. We'll see if he listens. And that body of water came up. He was telling me that he was over there fishing and throwing big baits. He's a big bait guy. And he was telling me about how he was out there. And I said, oh, yeah, there's some creepy shit that happens over there, You should, I said, he goes, oh, creepy shit? I don't want to know about it. He goes, that is a great spot for me and I don't want to ruin it. So I'm going to go. And I told him, I was like, it got me thinking about it. I was like, I've never brought Paul up there. I'm like, I'm not going by myself. Fuck no.
Bring a weapon, bring a cell phone, bring a radio, bring a crucifix and holy water. Good luck.
Crucifix, holy water, and a rabbit's foot. You'll need it all.
Yep. Exactly.
So I told him, I was like, yeah, let's go out and do it, and it'll be a good time. So that's on the docket this week. I got a lot of shit going on that I'm really, really stoked about. And what was the other? There was one other thing that I was thinking of. Oh, the addendum. So I've been killing it with this 2 trips a week. Like I said, this week I only dropped my kayak in the water once. But I'm so far ahead with my average that I can afford it. And this week I'll be catching right back up. I'm not concerned with that at all. But I started to think about the winter. And, when I picked up those hip waders, they really do help a lot as far as being able to extend the season a little bit more. I got in the water way earlier than I ever would have planned on any other year. And this year on the back end, I plan on doing the same thing. As far as making things, less cold when I'm, climbing in the boat. So I have this idea when we're sometime in November and I'm like, all right, I'm done for the season. I'm making an investment and I'll take some recommendations. I'm looking for like a work boot, hiking boot hybrid because I'm going to go out twice a week. And if nothing else, I'm going to hit some hiking trails right here in my own town. Or I'm going to make it ascend and go and do some hiking elsewhere. This will also kind of lend itself to doing some truck camping stuff and interesting stuff that way. So hopefully I can make it all kind of happen. But yeah, that's my goal because here's what I've noticed. Remember back in Champlain, when this whole idea of me getting in the kayak X amount numbers of a week, it was a conversation we had with Lauren. And she was like, yeah, take your measurements and everything else. I never did any of that because I'm a piece of shit. But I did weigh myself. And I have only been in the action of the only thing that I've done is be more active by being in the kayak, pedaling at least twice a week. I haven't gained a pound and I've literally eaten anything that I want. I have not said no to anything at all. It's good. Wild. So there's 2 things that are happening. I'm going to actually follow a diet and start paying attention, like rein this shit in, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to let myself this winter get sedentary at all. I'm going to start hiking and doing something with that. Even if, there's some spots around in some local rivers, like until they get icy and I can't fish them anymore, open water, I'm going to go for it, and I'll bring a spinning combo and throw Neds around, it can happen.
Recommendation. I have
Yep.
one because I
For
obviously
boots?
worked outdoors for years. We
Yep.
have there was a God, I think it was Skechers, believe it or not. Skechers sold a hybrid work boot,
Yep.
hiking boot that was actually waterproof and electrically rated. I don't have them anymore. I just went through my last pair.
Yeah.
Like recently, they lasted for years, like 5
shit.
years.
That's awesome.
And I would
'cause
wear-
Skechers
yeah, I would wear-
is either
Okay.
amazing or garbage. Like it's
Yeah,
one of two ways.
And,
Depends on what you get.
and I'm currently wearing Skechers sandals that are working phenomenally. But
Phenomenally,
those boots, I found that they were extremely comfortable.
Yep.
And to double down on the water protection, because even in the worst months, I was wearing them out there.
Oh yeah.
I found a pair of wool lined neoprene socks through Academy. So there you go,
you're good
Academy.
to go. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, they were fine.
I definitely am leaning toward the waterproof element. I have a pair of LL Bean boots that have been wearing for all kinds of stuff, like just every day. You know, they're soft toe, like there's no protection. Like they're, in fact, like the sole on this is very soft and very forgiving. Like it's good, but they're on their way out. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm going to push them to wear them like every day or anything, but I've had a pair of Merrells before. I hated them. I know some people love them, but like my feet are weird. They're just fucking weird. You know, I'm weird. There was someone had mentioned, you know, Red Wings. Sparky, Ray Figueroa has, I remember for some reason, I forget the brand of boots, but he had mentioned in like an Instagram story or something, like a brand that he has. And he's like, these are great. And I looked into them and I'm like, I don't mind, you know, putting some money into them or anything like that. But yeah, that's my goal. Like I want to, because the biggest thing with me with hiking is just like footwear, you know? It's like if my feet aren't comfortable, and you know, like I don't want to roll ankles or anything like that, so I'm looking for like, you know, something with some stability. But yeah, I'd love to just get out and like make it, you know, a regular thing, and then that way, when open water comes around next spring and I'm ready to go, it's not ramping up to anything. I've still got that activity going, and then I can just let it rip. So that's the goal. So
Perfect.
Lauren, you've had an influence on me for better or for worse. I like it, and thank you. I appreciate that.
You want to talk about this fucking heat now?
Let's talk about it. I'm dealing with it. Yeah, I'm in the disco dungeon, and I mentioned in the new trivia podcast that had launched that the fan that I was using to keep me alive while I'm working down here has ceased to exist for the last 6 days. And I don't know why. It just like this will happen. Like I'll buy like an oscillating fan and it'll just stop working, you know?
It stopped working or
Yeah.
it vanished?
No, it just stopped working. Like it just ceases to do its job. Like it's retired, I think. I think that's what it's done. And now it's like, nope, I'm getting, you know, Medicare and I'm done. I'm in my golden years. So I got to replace that sucker. So it is, granted I'm in my basement, but it is so hot down here. It's ridiculous. It should be cooler in the house, but with the AC upstairs compared to the basement, yeah.
That's where the basement is hot.
It is. It's warm.
Huh.
Yeah. And
I don't know
you
what that means.
wouldn't think
Usually-
so. I think it's just that like the low temp has only really gotten to like 75. You know, and
Does your basement have like a little bit of it exposed? Do you on a hill or something?
we have a lot of windows.
There you go. Okay. All right, I was just curious. I don't know. I'm not a fucking construction guy. Nelson or somebody else could answer that. They
Yeah.
know shit.
Well,
I don't know shit.
I know exactly what I need to do, and that's just I got to get a new fan. That's got to happen.
There you go.
Yeah, man, like it's brutal. Like I think we've each mentioned it when we reviewed our weeks. Like this heat has been crazy, and it looks like most of this week there is the threat of thunderstorms locally.
But
Yep.
Tuesday it's breaking. Did you see that? We're not supposed to get above like 80 or 85. It's going to be rest of the week smooth sailing. That's going to be a big front coming through Tuesday, and then it drops. So instead of 90s, we're going to have 80s, low 80s. I even saw 70s up in the mountains. Fuck yeah. That's where I'll be fishing Saturday.
That's good to know, man.
Yeah. It's breaking.
That is freaking good to know.
But we're still in it, and I wanted to kind of stress, just like I do in the cold with wearing fucking protective gear and
Yep.
you know, being smart. Bring sunscreen out. Bring clothing that can cover your body out, that's loose and not warm.
For sure.
Bring
a shit ton of water.
Plenty of water.
Yep.
Make sure you stay hydrated. Bring something with salt in it too, like whether it's Gatorade or electrolytes for the Gatorade. Anything else that just to balance out all that water.
Yeah, but, we should talk about that, man, because like Jeff, Big Nasty 186 on Instagram, he had last year, was it heat stroke? I think it was heat stroke, and he works on rooftops and he works with metal. He's a welder, and when you're talking about weather like this and those kind of conditions, it's brutal. And he's not a dummy. Like he was throwing down water constantly. Like he was just dumping water out. The issue is that if you don't have any sodium in your body, and this is why you could pretty much literally eat anything, and it will hold that water in your body longer. You run into the reason why you need to replace it is because eventually you'll sweat it out too.
Yep.
But yeah, he was like, it was no joke. Like you gotta make sure, and that's part of the reason why. Like sometimes when I'm fishing, I'll make it a point. Like I always have sunflower seeds. Because they're salty, idea. You know what I mean? And I can pop, a cheek full of those in, and I'm like, all right, cool, I'm good. I've got a little bit of minerals that I'm putting into my body, and then I can continue drinking water and such. But yeah, you gotta have a ton of water. It's make or break.
Yeah, I mean, I bring something to eat out at all times, like whether it's a small, a little snack or a sandwich or something. But I'm always making sure that between the water and that, like I generally in the heat, I've been averaging about 1 gallon to 1.25 gallons a day for probably the past 2-3 weeks. And it helps you lose weight too. I mean, and I'm just drinking more water. It's flushing all this shit out of my system. Yeah. Literally and figuratively.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, stay safe out there, folks. It's been really, really hot.
Yeah.
And literally dangerous to be on the water.
And
so
if
you're going to fish,
this is going to come back in September. Like we're going to get spanked. Like the heat, or it's not like we're going to get to September. It's going to be smooth sailing. We usually have a period of about a week or so where it's just oppressive in September. And it can be a bitch. Yeah. So it's definitely want to be smart. Be prepared. Yeah. I'm looking at that at the forecast now, and you can see it. We have lows of 72, 74, then a low of 67, but bang, there's the front.
Yep.
And that's,
there it is. And then all of a sudden things flip a little bit, which is good.
Friday has a projected high of 80 with a low of 57.
And that's in the valley, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this might be a trigger for the fish to start feeding up more. Who the fuck knows? We'll find out.
It could be. That would be a great thing. Cause
we have a MAKB tournament on Saturday. It's a 57 runs. So we'll be all up in the mountains with Sasquatch and hopefully catching some big fish.
You know what's Paul? I might be up in the mountains with Paul.
Well,
on Saturday.
There's gonna be a lot of Well, you'll be at a different body of water.
We will be at definitely different body of water, but yeah. Up in the mountains. That could be nice and cool. God.
Get there nice and early. You draw Sasquatch away from us.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm actually going to hang a chuck roast off the back of my... Oh, by the way, I just got to... Now, you know what? Remind me, we'll talk about this in the third segment with the food. Guys, I have been on a tear with recipes for camping, and I got a doozy. Like, I can't... When Nelson chimed in on this one, he was like, dude, you're killing me. This sounds awesome. So, yeah, I think we got some dudes. So if you're like us and you like to, fill your face, you're going to want to stick around for our last segment here, too, because we're going to dive into some good stuff. One other thing I want to notice here is this, and I don't promote other people's shit directly or anything like that, but when you have somebody that we've gotten to meet and know through the show to the point where I consider a lot of the folks that we network with true friends, Becca has a bit of an issue. So I had asked her about, there's a video project for my trivia business that I was asking her about shooting some footage for. And this was right before she was in Florida and lost her camera when she dumped her camera bag in the water, her big camera. So I had asked her about, if she was going to replace that and if, she's interested in working with me for this and everything. And, anyway, she's like, yeah, I'm not ready to like pony up the money on it. I don't know, and she was a little like, kind of like, I'm not sure if I'm going to even go down that road again. She's like, things have been pretty good. I said, cool. And then I get a text. This is while I was at the wedding, and her truck broke down and she had to replace a transmission.
Ooh.
That's not cheap. So Becca, we love you. We think you're wonderful. If you are buying Guggen Baits, please use code Becca and help our girl out. Please. If you're buying Guggen products at all and you're buying them from online, use code Becca. And you'll save a little bit of money, but you'll be helping her out directly. So she didn't ask me to mention, obviously. She never would ask me to do shit like this. But I'd like to at least try to help out. So that would be really, really good. I also have a friend of mine that has unfortunately fallen on some tough times and is looking to sell some swim baits. I did ask him to get me a list. And if there's any folks out there that are looking to pick up some swim baits, I'm hoping to have a list. Jump into my DMs. We'll see what happens. I'm not making any promises. I don't know if he wants to go this route, but I'd like to get the seed out there now to see what bites. So there's that. It's crazy, man, with fishing tackle. Like, you run into some shitty situations and you're just like, wow, I have this investment in all this fishing gear, and well, maybe I can sell some of it to recoup and, stay afloat. I mean, it sucks to have to do it, It really does. But so yeah, we'll see what's up. But man, do we have anything else we need to add in here? I think we did pretty well.
Well, this is quite the first segment we've got. We were trying to keep it slim tonight, but fuck it.
Well, I think we're coming in hot is what we're doing here, and I think it works out really, really well. So we're going to take a break, guys. We have two things coming up in next segment. We have our bait of the week review. This is a good one. This one's coming from Sean, and I've used this bait a little bit here and there, and I'm interested specifically to learn more about it because it's. There's a lot of you that are going to be like, oh yeah, I love this bait. A lot of you. There's also in our Just the Tip, we're going to talk about catching fish that are meant for you. What the hell does that even mean? Get ready, guys. Go ahead, brew yourself a nice cup of herbal tea. We're about to get deep here. And then in our third segment, that's where we're going to talk more about food, and we're going to get nerdy. We got some Marvel Cinematic Universe shit to dive into here, and we're going to piss some people off, I think. Potentially.
I am. Yeah. I'm going to piss some people off.
Yeah.
My job.
All right, guys. We'll see you in a bit. Don't go too far. Much more coming up right after this. Jigs and Bigs wants to take a moment to say thank you to our partners for helping us continue to push the limits of our fishing adventures and bring you amazing long-form content. We want to thank Old Glory Outdoors in East Brookfield, Massachusetts. Old Glory has an amazing selection of fishing tackle, including 6th Sense, Guggen Baits, X-Zone Lures, Shimano, Daiwa, Luz, 13 Fishing, Arc Rods, and many more. Use promo code Jigs and Bigs at oldgloryoutdoors.com and in-store to save yourself some money and support the show. For all your premium kayak needs, we partner with Three Bells Outfitters, located along Smith Cove in Niantic, Connecticut. Three Bells is your go-to location for kayaks and accessories from Hobie, Native, Bonafide, Jackson, Yak Attack, Naqua, Boondocks, Burley Pro, and many more. Financing options are available to upgrade you and your kayak fishing experience. White glove delivery service is also available. Visit threebellsoutfitters.com for more info, and don't forget to tell them that Jigs and Bigs sent you. When it comes to high-quality polarized sunglasses, we've partnered with Torres. They provide stylish sunglasses in a variety of frames that are light and fit comfortably on your face. The polarization cuts glare and allows you to see the whole picture, helping you identify what's below the water's surface. They have a 60-day, risk-free trial, lifetime warranty, and free shipping. Plus, you can save yourself 10% with the code JIGSandBIGS10 at checkout. Visit Torrege.com to check out their selection. That's www.torege.com. Again, we cannot thank our partners enough for their support. Please consider supporting them and supporting the show in the same process. Thanks.
Bobby and Sean now have a special presentation for us all. They'd like to give everyone just the tip.
I mean, is it really everyone that we just want to give the tip to? Oh, by the way, we have, I have in my possession a new piece of attire that will be making its debut, I think, at Hoodlum Fest, and I'm very excited about that.
Why is that singular? We have new attire that will be making its debut at Hoodlum Fest.
It's awesome. For those that aren't aware, during that break that we had, we like to talk with our jig heads a little bit and have some fun right here. That conversation primarily was interesting and eye-opening. I'm not about to put that on the Patreon or anything like that as an exclusive, but you guys got it just because it's just that kind of night. Weird shit. We talked about the dead ex-girlfriends. We talked about juggalos. We talked about Sean berated Poor Gravy Fishing for his use of excessive punctuation. I can't wait until Sean lays into me about my overuse of the Oxford comma, because let's face it, I love it.
No, I'm fine with that. You don't use two of them in a row, though.
No, I go and comma space. Oh, I love it.
Well, just a tip this week is not about grammar, surprisingly, or about juggalos and dead girlfriends. Oh my God, I can't believe it. It's amazing. When would I ever think to say that in a sentence?
It's almost like today's show has been produced by Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the only thing that would be weirder is if, like, no, I'm not even going to talk about the bathroom. That'd be bad. Fuck a dead guy?
Oh, yeah, you did it. All right. Well, let me shift gears here. I know there's no segue to this. So I just have to, Bobby laughing maniacally. There's been a lot of dead comments going on here. Nelson and I talked today. We were on the water, and we talked about what happened to me on Friday.
Yep.
Friday, I was out at A1. There was plenty of traffic there. A couple boats came out, went to the back end. They're braver than I was. There was also a bass boat and a kayak that I was sharing the front end with, and there's enough room there where we were spaced out pretty well. And I wasn't really overly excited about or overly upset about other people being on the water. I was doing fine. Again, plenty of 17-inch fish. I wasn't sweating it. But something happened midday. And like 10 o'clock, I think it was, midday for me for the tournament. 9 to 10 o'clock, the kayaker that was out there, and actually he was out there before I was. I got out there at dark. He was out there before that. I saw a car parked there, and I didn't realize what was going on because there was no lights on the lake. And then a headlamp went on 15, 20 minutes into my jaunt, and I realized there was another kayaker out there with me. So a bass boat came out there with one gentleman and his dog on it. And like I said, around 10 o'clock, the kayaker got off the water. So it was myself and the gentleman in the bass boat on the front end.
Yep.
And
that's right.
I was doing something, either eating or fixing my lure or something, and I didn't even hear him come up. And he was 20 feet to my left, and he starts the conversation with me. But the whole time he's staring at all of my rods and reels and what's hooked up on them. And he asked me what I was catching fish on. I said, well, this jig right here, plastic creature, right? And the conversation continued. And then when we kind of broke apart, he started rummaging through all sorts of shit like furiously, and then went to the other side. And we were kind of sharing the same channel. And when he came back, he was obviously excited to be in contact with other humans, is my guess, because this is one of those guys that is completely silent from across the lake. But as soon as you get near him, all of a sudden you're hearing things like, whoa, it's a big one. Whoa, I got one. Whoa, check this one out. Like, getting attention. I'm like, all right, I'm fishing a tournament here. I don't have the time. Or
you're not there for that.
Yeah. So he was getting loud and noisy, and I said, oh, that's a good one. He said, yeah, I saw what you were doing with that creature and tried to match it the best I could. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Now, he did not have an exact match for the creature I was using. So I know he was not, quote unquote, catching fish that were mine.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't going to catch those fish because he was throwing something different. Okay. Those fish were not meant for me. That's what Nelson kind of said in a round. He said it pretty close. And he gave a great example. Aside from that, when we were talking about this, he said, take last year at Champlain when we all went up and had a great time. When Nelson and I were out kayak fishing, I was throwing a bladed jig. I was throwing a chatterbait, certain color with a certain trailer. I'm not going to get into what, because that's my business. But Nelson knew what I was throwing. We weren't in a tournament. We were just out there having fun.
Yeah.
And he had a similar chatterbait. It wasn't dead on with the same trailer. There was a difference. There was actually a market difference. Now, there might have been some other ones. There might have been line difference. I think he throws his on braid. I throw mine on fluorocarbon.
Sure.
That might have made a difference with the fall rate. There was a couple of slight differences. I was hammering smallmouth over 18 inches. He was having problems getting on smallmouth, and he said to himself, these fish aren't meant for me.
Yeah.
Something's different that I can't match. And he said, I'm going back to playing my game, playing my strengths. He went to a weedier section and started digging largemouth out because he went back to what he was good at. So I think we've said it in a number of different ways over the years here. Figure out your strengths. Just because someone else is throwing a lure of a specific type or color or something else, and you know they're catching fish with it, don't go away from that if that's not what you're doing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's so, I another example that I brought up too is, remember I told you I used to fish big boat tournaments on occasion?
Uh-huh.
And we got back to the ramp one day, and all the buzz at the ramp was, everybody that caught big fish caught them drop shotting 2-inch or 3-inch plastic grubs. All of them had chartreuse tails, and they were drop shotting in beds. And if you didn't have a chartreuse tail grub,
you weren't catching fish. Yeah.
And I said, I'm not doing that. And I developed my own strengths over time. So let that kind of be a lesson. You could, there's always the chance you could find out what somebody's using and match that immediately, and you might catch a fish, but play to your strengths. That's what's going to, it's kind of like catching a fish for a man and teaching a man to fish.
Yes.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You're learning to fish instead of learning from somebody else to catch those particular fish. Whereas the patterns you could learn, you might go to a lake where your friend does really well, but the other 20 lakes you guys go to, you've got the basics down and you know your strengths.
And can adapt.
And that can, maybe that one lake he does well at is because of one thing he does well.
Yep.
But that doesn't carry over for all lakes.
Yeah.
That's all. Just a tip. Like, don't, play your own game. Don't play others is the bottom line on this, and play to your strengths.
And that's the thing. I think that, that's a really good point. Do what you do, and I think, I'll often ask the question, hey, what are you catching them on? Sometimes just so I know, more or less, is it a dark color? Or is it, you know what I mean? I want to know, I don't care about the specifics of the bait. I'm more curious about, what the pattern is. And those details. So there's value when, you put something together there. But it's obviously proof. If somebody's catching them and it's a specific color pattern or a specific size presentation or fished a specific way, we could both be throwing jigs, but maybe, my friend is getting bit on the retrieve, swimming them back because they want something moving. That's something that, you know what I mean? And that information, I think you'll get further for yourself. And I get the catching fish that aren't meant for you, but I feel like you'll catch those fish if you focus more on the pattern and not the details of I need to be throwing a fresh baits Hellamite, I don't want to throw fresh baits out there they're fucking great baits. I love them, but that's just what's on my mind right now,
For people that have, for anglers that have less experience, not 20, 30 years on the water, but less experience. Yeah, go ahead and ask. There's nothing wrong with that. You're trying to figure out where that starting point is.
Yeah.
Once you develop a game, I actually avoid that. I don't want to know. I don't even want to know what anybody's using. I'm going out and reading the water myself.
And that's that makes sense because you and I have totally separate sets of experience, Yeah.
But you're getting there and you're learning. Yep. You're learning to see okay, when I get on the water, what's the clarity? What's the temperature? What time of year are we at? These are the questions that I've been asking, and a lot of anglers with a lot of experience do that, competitive or not.
Yep.
They assess the situation and they know where to build from that. You've only, Bobby, what is it? 3-4 years you've been fishing passionately?
Passionately?
Maybe 5?
3.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been 3 years.
You'll get there.
Yep.
Yeah. You'll get there. And things nowadays are completely different when I was in my first 3 years because we didn't have internet.
Yep.
There was There was not like, you were pretty confined. There was no competitive angling other than big boat stuff.
Yep.
None. And or the occasional derby where you were on the shore of a trout stock pond.
Exactly.
Things are so different, and you have so many different ways to learn how to get to your strengths. And there's no time limit. Just have fun, go out there and just learn it.
That's the name of the game.
But yeah, bottom line, play to your strengths once you figure out what those are.
Oh yeah.
That's it. That's all I can tell everybody.
No, I love it, man. That's the name of the game. You got it. You got to do it. So we don't have an FTG for you guys this week. Like I said in the intro, folks they're pretty well behaved. Shockingly, I think maybe the heat has even gotten the wreck boaters. Like they're like, yeah, I'm not going out in that sun. I can't do it because, man, I'll tell you, it sounds like a good idea being on a boat all day, even being in the water. But after you get, fried by the sun enough, you're like, maybe we're going to hang out in the AC. So I feel like, at least in my experience, people have been pretty good so far. But we have some information for you guys regarding local tournaments. And that is what we're going to do. Let's do the wedding thing here, the Dothraki.
There we go.
Goodness.
I already mentioned that the MAKB knockout tournament is wrapping up soon. We're down to, I think, 3 out of the final 4. We talked about Derek Brundle. We talked about Neil Raposa.
Yep.
And I believe Jeff Levesque rounds out the 3 that are in. There is one more matchup remaining till the final 4. Very exciting tournament this year. Like I said, next year, try to get in on it. If you're local and if you're in New England and you want to try to fish against the best, this is the way to do it. It's there's no gimmies in this tournament, and it's been a blast. So again, congrats to Neil, congrats to Derek, congrats to Jeff. Good luck in the next round.
That's
and
awesome.
I believe who's left? Shit, I don't want to look. I know Ari Stonehill has a matchup against I forgot who he's taking on. I'll look for that right now. I'll come back to that in a second. Chronic Trips wrapped.
Yes.
Chronic Trips wrapped. And Ari Stonehill's taking on Chris Nichols. So good luck to both of them. I don't know when that matchup is. I haven't seen any information on it yet, but Ari's a friend, and I don't think I've met Chris, but yeah. Good luck to them in the next round, or good luck to them this round, and good luck to whoever makes the final 4. For the Chronic Trips, come on, Chronic Trips, you piece of shit. I love Excel. It works when it wants to.
I love it. This is my favorite.
Just we're just gonna hang out. It's got the blue check mark on it. I checked it. There we go. All right. So let's start with the with third place. We paid out 3 for Chronic Trips.
Yep.
There were 15 people in the tournament, 3 paying slots. Right. Congrats. There was a tie for third place that was broken by the tiebreaker, which was number of species.
Yep.
Tim O'Keefe lost the tiebreaker. He had 12 points, as did Scott Rhodes. Tim caught 7 species. Scott caught 9. Congrats to both of them. Great showing. They were the first 2 people to break double digits there. Scott, his name keeps showing up in these too. He's really putting his name on the multi-species tourneys here, which is great. Second place should be no surprise. A name we always mention when it comes to these tournaments.
Yep.
Jerry Multihouse.
Oh, of course.
13 points, second place. Congrats to him. Then, making his triumphant return to the Chronic Trip circuit, Sean the Fisherman, 15 points.
Imagine
on
that.
On the back of the stupendous saltwater showing that I had, I got 3 saltwater species. Nobody else did. There was a couple of saltwater showings, but yeah, I got out there, got a flatfish last weekend. I got the shark and the striper, and at the Cape the week before. So hey, this time the saltwater paid off. There was a lot of saltwater entries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 saltwater entries. So that was good. But yeah, congratulations to everybody who placed the Chronic Trips. Everyone who participated, thank you very much. We'll see you guys in September for the final Chronic Trips of the year. Remember, fresh and salt. That'll be just in time, hopefully, for the saltwater migration down the coast.
Yep.
For the saltwater striper migration down the coast.
Yes.
Sorry, my bad. Now,
beautiful.
We have a little thing going on at Jigs and Bigs.
Yeah, we do.
We got a little tournament running. Okay. And I would like to make note. I've been in contact pretty regularly over the past month or so with Fishing Chaos. Their engineer, Thomas, has been helping me out. And it's not up yet. We're actually testing it again to make sure it's good to go. And it looks really good right now. But I am able to see a leaderboard. So after 2 years of doing this with Fishing Chaos, it's finally, we're at the point here where hopefully the next tournament or the tournament after, we can have this leaderboard live. And there's one for length. So I can stop this bullshit with Excel.
Yeah.
That being said, we're in the first week. I'm just going to go ahead and tell everybody's points because we've got 8 places. Eight folks have turned in fish. We got Chrissy Radwillow. God, let me pronounce that properly. Chrissy Radwillowitz. She's been fishing with MAKB West. She's got 1 point. Nelson's got a point. Jerry Multihouse, Dan Regan, and Gravy Fishing all have 4 points. Scott Rhodes, 5 points. Sean the Fisherman, that's me, 7 points. And in first place after week 1, Brian Tonello with 8 points. Nice job, Brian.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So great job to everyone. There's still another week to register. And again, this is a scavenger hunt. If you don't catch the biggest fish in every category, you can still place. It's very possible.
Definitely.
We have to stress that this is not a lunker tournament. Will it help if you get lunkers? Yes, you're going to get an extra point, but only 1 point. Go out, catch as many species as you can. You're going to do well in this, and have a blast. And one thing to keep in mind, a tip that I really should highlight this. And even if you don't win the category, of the NE5 category, it has not been many between Chronic Trips and Jigs and Bigs. Not been many people that have placed that have not gotten at least 100 inches in that NE5. That's something to think about. So if you got to get on some chain pickerel, some extra large, some extra big bass, some smaller pike, whatever you got to do, try to keep that little side quest in your mind. Get to 100 inches in NE5 and you're going to do fine. That's really all I have for tournament stuff this week, Bobby. We got the MAKB West 6th event coming up this weekend. It's the 57 run. Oh, that one's a popular one. It's pretty fun. It opened up at 7 o'clock before we started recording, and we've already got 20 people in it. And I think a couple more are going to be jumping in.
That's great.
Yeah, this has been great. This year has been great. The sophomore season has been phenomenal. We've been averaging over 20 people a tournament. I'm psyched. So we'll get out there and have some fun.
That's freaking awesome, man. I'm telling you, I think we're going to end up seeing MAKB expanding at some point because there's a lot of people jumping on this trail, and that's good to see. You're
There's
retaining
a lot of people coming out west from the central. It's the central and the metro areas, Boston and Worcester. So I think
that's awesome.
Maybe a little more to come on that. There might be some off-season discussions about another division, but I've been blown away and flattered. Apparently, Nelson and I are doing something right because people keep coming back.
That's awesome, man. That's fucking huge.
Now, one thing I will let you know.
What's that?
Just gonna throw this out there.
Yeah.
Our tournament runs from 6 to 2 on Saturday, and it's all different lakes.
Okay.
But I know you're going to be up to Shears with Paul, right?
That's the plan. I'm not sure if we're going to go. If we're going where I think we're going, I'm going to push that we go during the day.
Okay. Yeah, that's a smart move. Yeah. So what I'll let you know is if you were to get off the water around 2 o'clock, you could join us for the festivities at the restaurant we're going to grab food at afterwards.
I could do that. That's not a bad idea.
You know.
Yeah.
Bring Paul with you. The Polish Hammer, Paul.
The Polish Hammer. Are you ready to talk baits?
I am the master of baits.
Let's do it.
Jigs and Bigs, bait of the week.
You know what's funny? We talked about somebody using music that we use, because we use royalty-free music on the show for our intros and things like that. I heard just this week somebody use that.
Really?
Yeah, it was for like some cooking thing. It was crazy. Yeah, it was it was the freaking weirdest thing I've ever seen, but man, it was wild. So we're going to talk about a specific bait that Sean has a lot of experience with, and I know is very, very popular, especially I'm finding like with a lot of younger anglers. I feel like this specific bait, and I don't know exactly what it is about it, but Sean, go for it.
Well, when I say the name of this bait, some of our longtime listeners are going to say, wait a minute. In the past year or two, you've shit on this bait. I think it was 2 years ago I shit on it. And after I shit on it, I remember I went down to the basement. I had some. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll dust these little shits off.
Yeah.
And I did, and it has paid dividends. It's been a really good bait. So
That's the funny thing about fishing, you know?
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I got a wild hair and I dug those out, and it's just been wonderful since. It's renewed that relationship with me and this bait. The bait I'm referring to, in its numerous sizes, but I'll say the two I use, the Zoom Brush Hog and the Zoom Baby Brush Hog. Let me think. I started using those, early 2000s. I do not know, but I suspect that they're one of the, if not the first, true creature bait out there. Not something that kind of looks like a craw, but something that is not even close to anything found in nature.
Yeah.
Just has a bunch of shit that wobbles, spins, flops, and flaps, and twists, and jiggles, and all that shit.
It's like a suggestion of a life form.
Yes.
You know?
It's movement and a weird shape. But I started using those in the early 2000s. It was the first creature bait I ever used. And initially, I would grab the full-size brush hogs, and I would either Texas rig them with a sliding bullet weight, or I would just weightless with an extra wide gap hook. So with or without that weight. And I learned to use those in, I think the first time I threw one of those around was in Texas in the early 2000s. We tried it out, and my buddy actually caught a 5 or 6 pounder. I can't remember at this point, out of Lake Ray Roberts. It was the biggest fish we had that trip, and it was a blast. We started really applying that at home up in Massachusetts, and I used those for a while. And then I remember they came out with a baby brush hog, and I said, "Wow, I got to try these. I bet you these would be great for smallmouth." And I used those for years, up until 2009, 2000, when I started my database, and then 2009, 2010, 2011. Then I applied the data I had, and I realized that, for whatever reason, those 3 years I had not been catching very big fish with baby brush hogs. I think I started relying on those primarily. Rigged with a, let me think. I was using a 1 or a 3/0 hook, extra wide gap with those, and then again either weighted or not. And I would always use a 5/0 with the bigger ones. I wanted the hook to get further back. And I realized I wasn't catching the fish the size I wanted. And that was the cut I made. I said, well, I'm not getting size on this. Fuck them. And I put them down in the basement, never threw them out. And there was 1 or 2 times I went out fishing with people, and they just, I like in absolute contrast to what I just said, they absolutely railed me with these baits. And I said, well, maybe I should try those again. Nah, maybe not. And then something happened to make me really re-examine the baby brush hog. Ned rigging came into vogue. And I Ned rig with those things a lot now.
Yeah.
Like a lot. I have kind of a scale with Ned rigs where it's really by profile. Yeah. So I have, like, I'll start if I think the fish are going after something with a bigger profile, it's still it's Ned rig. It's only a 3-inch bait. I'll start with some sort of flapper, right? And then if they're not biting on the flapper, the first thing I'll do is keep the same color, and I'll go down to a Zoom Baby Brush Hog because it's slimmer, but it's still got all sorts of action happening.
Yeah.
Little Sean the Fisherman tip too. Those Zoom Baby Brush Hogs and Brush Hogs have those loop-like appendages that are almost like arms. I break those off. I don't break them fully off. I break off one side of it so they spin too. Little neat thing I do.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, a little modification.
Okay.
So try that. So it almost looks like they have arms, so they're like swimming with arms.
Yep.
They twirl. I don't know how that happens, but whatever. So I started Ned rigging those, and I remember last year or the year before on the show, I shit on them. I said I used to use those things all the time and fuck them. And I went down in the basement and started applying them to Ned rigs. So that's where they came into step 2. Step 1's the flapper. Step 2 is that. Step 3 is a simple small paddle tail. There's a particular one I use that is none of anybody's fucking business. And then step 3 is just a straight worm, so a 3-inch worm or a 4-inch worm.
Yep.
That's it. So I step myself down, and I'll usually start with the most, the biggest profile and the most violent, which is a flapper, and then the next step is always a Zoom Baby Brush.
Yeah.
But that's really where I've applied it over the past 2 years, and again, it's been a great dividends. And again, I'm never going to get into colors on these things because
that can change so much.
You know what? I'll talk about this. You know what I found? I found that I was using a large flapper as a jig trailer in Oklahoma, and they needed to just for whatever reason,
like
those
large
fish
flappers.
We're gross. We're all about anything with orange on them. And
Yes.
I was using a specific color in those flappers that I couldn't find in the baby brush hogs, but I did find watermelon orange, and those work just fine. So
Really?
what I did, and this is where I started applying them with Ned rigging a lot.
Yeah.
In Oklahoma, I was throwing full size brush hogs with, they're not swim bait hooks, but they're hooks that have weight on the shaft of the hook in between the bend and the barb itself.
Yeah.
So they're weighted hooks. And in Oklahoma, I always wanted to maintain contact with trees. So I think I mentioned when we talked about jigs that during the summer, I tend to slim down. I don't go with as big of a profile as a bass jig. I'll just go with like a Ned head or an extra wide gap with some weight on it instead of with the same creature bait that I'm using as a trailer.
Exactly.
I found in Oklahoma those fish got finicky enough that I would switch to a full size brush hog and hook them up with those weighted hooks, and I can maintain contact with everything. That's really it. I've learned with my style of fishing over the years that I stopped completely using sliding bullet weights. I don't think it I don't get the feel that I want. Sometimes a really light hit, you won't even feel it. So I want to maintain contact with my hook, not the bait, the hook at all times.
Yep.
And I've really, starting with Oklahoma with those weighted hooks, it's gone forward with me to use those baby brush hogs with Ned heads, and it's just been phenomenal. So I love the brush hog. Bobby, you got any experience with them?
So it's funny. I still remember the day you and I first had kayak fish together, and we talked about a lot of baits, and you talked about, because at this point, I think you were not really throwing even buzz toads and stuff as much anymore, because you had the database at this point. And you had told me about brush hogs. You're like, you should get into them because they're that and flukes. It's just one of these baits that you can do so much with, and it really lends itself. So I did. I listened, and I was like, okay, cool. Go pick up two colors that, generally what I do anytime, I get a recommendation on a bait or what I'll do, especially specifically with soft plastics. If somebody says, oh, yeah, this is really great, I'm buying a green pumpkin or something relatively close and a black or a black and blue.
Yep.
Generally, because then this way I'm like, okay, cool. I've got options to play with, stuff like that. I like using the full size brush hog on a shaky head.
It works.
Great way to use it. I think it was actually the first shaky head fish I ever caught was using a brush hog, and it's funny too. I don't remember you ever saying it, but yeah, those little arm appendages that are connected, almost like a piece of macaroni, like a U, like an elbow. And if you just rip one of the sides off, they do. They kind of like it's kind of like that
squirrel.
The arm flailing tube man from a car deal, oh, it's fucking great.
Wild, wacky, inflatable tube man.
Exactly. I'm like, that is awesome. But yeah, I mean, it's a great presentation, and it is. I think you're 100% right. Its name does not do anything to describe it at all. You know what I mean? No. It doesn't look like anything. I mean, even you could say oh, it kind of looks like a lizard. It's got that profile. It's long, but it's at the same time, there's a stickworm element going. And now so many people are making a brush hog style of bait that it's become commonplace. So pick your favorite brand, whatever it is that you like, and pick your favorite colors. But I would give them a go,
Yeah. With the brush hogs, I mean, you said the name. I know they were designed, I guess, or maybe marketed for brush, but I throw them everywhere. I have success. I caught most of my smallmouth on one today.
Yeah.
There was some wood around, but I wasn't throwing it. Wood I was throwing mostly in current and rocks.
Yeah.
That was Ned rigged. So it's a great bait. It is versatile. You can do a lot with it. Again, if you like the Texas rig, go for it. It's just not my cup of tea. You can drop shot the little sons of bitches. Actually, that's a great thing. The one time I was really drop shotting for bass and not drop shotting live night crawlers for bluegills at the end of the Chronic Trips tournament in November.
Yep.
One time when I was trying to force myself to learn that, I was drop shotting a Zoom baby brush hog, and you know what I caught off that thing?
What?
Bitterly ironic, a bluegill.
Oh
like
my
10 years ago.
God, that's awesome! What are
Middle
the
of
odds?
even weirder was in the middle of a trout pond on the Cape, and I caught a bluegill in 20 feet of
Really?
water on a drop shot brush hog. Just bizarre, but they're limited by your imagination.
Yeah.
Get out there and give them a try, or give something similar a try. I've just, I know I'm familiar with the brush hog. I trust the brush hog.
Yep.
It's good shit.
Yeah. I love it, guys. Remember, if you want to, oh yes, actually somebody had commented, it was Gravy, in fact, now that I think about it, had mentioned that we should talk about lizards, in an upcoming episode. So we're gonna put that definitely on the list of to get tos, but we happen to know the Lizard King himself.
We know a guy.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We got a guy. Yeah. Great stuff. No, we're going to talk food and stuff later. Let's take a quick break. This is going to be good, guys. You don't want to miss out. Next segment, this is a little bit of a deviation, but it's going to be good. You're going to love it. We'll see you right after this. Jigs and Bigs is your favorite fishing podcast, right? Why not show the world how much you love the show while directly supporting us? We have men's and ladies' shirts, hoodies, and a variety of hats. We even have a waterproof outdoor Bluetooth speaker so you can listen to your favorite podcast while out on the water if you like. Check out jigsandbigs.com/shop to visit the store and gear yourself up. If you really can't get enough of this show, consider becoming a jighead and joining our Patreon. It's a subscription that gives you exclusive access to recording sessions that allow you to engage with us as we record the show. We also have some exclusive content there just for our jigheads and even have some special promo codes. Space is limited, so join now at jigsandbigs.com. Finally, if you're local to our area in Western Massachusetts, consider checking out the Western Mass Fishing Report, posted weekly at northeastwildwoman.com. We have amazing contributors providing great content and info for local conditions and what's been going on and working recently. Jigs and Bigs, so much more than just two lightly roasted hippies trapped in the 90s arguing on the internet about fishing. I am hungry as hell, man. I'm
Stuck
starving.
food, motherfucker.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and do that. It's ironic too because I didn't eat dinner yet. I was like, I'm going to eat after we record the show. We had a late lunch and it was just wild. I got a message this week from, was it Adam? I think it was. And I forget which account he sent it to. Sit tight, guys. Let me look for this because this is good. Yes, here we go. All right, so I got a message from Adam Blemecki earlier this week. It was Thursday, actually. He sent me a reel that is on Instagram from, is it the Roaming Foodie and Taste Delish? Okay, and it says it's a hot Cheetos steak and cheese sandwich. All right.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And now, okay, so that is one thing. Okay, this has shaved steak. It has chicken fingers. It has the hot Cheetos. It's got two different types of sauces. I believe they hit it. Yeah, they hit it with American cheese. Because nobody makes cheese like the Americans.
American.
And then it's just put into what looks like the ideal roll for this type of event. It's then covered in sauce again. But this is available at Jim's Market, which is on Fulton Street in Medford, Massachusetts. I need to be there. Like that's just it's just gotta happen. I'm following them now. They apparently do a great breakfast, like all types of amazing breakfast items. It's very like this feels like old New England. You know what I mean? Like our generation, but like back then. You know what I mean? There's something about it. I'm like, yeah, we got to make this happen. Like these are breakfast. Oh yeah, they do breakfast fries. Oh God.
Yeah,
I say this. I'm gonna hike all winter, and then I'm gonna start dieting. I'm a fucking liar.
you said Medford, and I had another story prepped from me and one of my college buddies who lived in Mendon. And Milford, I believe, is right next to Mendon.
Yep.
And there was apparently some sort of small war going on between the two towns. I've not the time for this story, but the humanity, as Bobcat would say. Oh, the humanity.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Never mind.
So I would highly recommend checking that out. I have to find a place to fish nearby so I can just make the trip, do the whole thing, because that's got to happen. That looks absolutely amazing. What the hell else was I going to talk about for food?
I don't know.
That was the other thing. I posted something last night. So I have been on a tear since this fishing trip. In Connecticut for the salty shootout. I have been on a tear for just camp recipes. And I shared this reel on my Instagram, the Bobby Roast Beef one. And it is a cheesy hot corn dip is what it is.
Ooh.
Yeah, the recipe is as follows. And I had an idea here that I think might be amazing. So it's 3 cans of whole kernel corn, a can of diced chilies, a whole jalapeno pepper diced, 1 8-ounce block of cream cheese. You season it to taste, garlic powder, onion powder, however you're going to do that. And then you top it off with cilantro at the end. You do the whole thing on the grill. You combine the corn and the seasoning and the peppers and everything, and then you mix that with the cream cheese, and you basically throw it on the grill for like 30 minutes, give it a stir, leave it on another 30 minutes, take it off, let it cool apparently because it'll take the hide off your tongue. It's so hot. But this looks amazing. Nelson chimes in and was just like, dude, you're killing me. Like, this looks awesome. We have to do that. The butcher commented and he was like, yes. So I left a comment and I told Nelson, I said, I'm thinking of adding some diced or crumbled chorizo in there as well. I think, I think that could be so unbelievably good. And then I made the suggestion to the butcher. I was like, maybe we should make Hoodlum Fest a potluck. That could be
somebody's gonna put acid in the fucking potatoes. Exactly.
You're like, oh, did you hear that Lockwood made the potato salad? Don't know. Trust me. Oh, Lockwood, you brought stuffed mushrooms. Wonderful.
Stuffed, yeah.
Hey, bust out the Sid Barrett era Pink Floyd. Let's go. Oh, but it's just, God, I'm so fat. It's basically the takeaway here. God damn it. Oh, but I mean, just absolutely fucking out of this world. That steak and cheese with the hot Cheetos. Fuck me running. Let's talk Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I would love to. I don't think I could eat that.
Yeah,
to be quite honest. Not
so.
because of the heat, but because of all the ingredients. So,
oh yeah, I'm sure that there's plenty.
I want to add something to the conversation.
Exactly.
But I
You're
can't,
like, there's nothing I can
good luck. Don't die.
I tell you the truth though, after looking at the Jim's Market Instagram, I have been eyeballing the breakfast items because that's my jam. I'm all about the breakfast stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, let's talk Love and Thunder.
I want to do something right now. When did that movie come out? About a month ago? 3 weeks ago?
It was at least because Holly and I saw it 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago. So I think it came out at least 3 weeks ago or possibly 4.
All right. Do you have like some sort of an alarm klaxon or some sort of noise?
Yeah, I've got.
You have a fart noise? Anything?
Oh, you know what? I think I might have the perfect noise for this.
Possible spoiler alerts, people. If you haven't seen Thor Love and Thunder and you don't want to know anything about it, stop listening now until you see it. Come back to us. We'll love to have you back. Bobby, hit the noise again.
Hang on. Yeah, that's what we'll do.
Thank you. All right, we'll give people 2 seconds. We're going to start talking about this. I made a comment to you.
Yes.
And I actually talked with one of my sons about this before. We got a little deeper into it with my son, but so this is now the second Taika Waititi offering in the Thor franchise. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, look, we all know that Thor, and you said you didn't even see it. So it shows how important that fucking movie is. But I mean, it was referenced in what fucking Endgame.
Oh, yeah.
Thor: The Dark World sucked balls. That's one of the worst, if not the worst, Marvel movie, right? I put that one and Age of Ultron. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Those got supplanted by Eternals. Eternals was awful. Eternals made no fucking sense.
I didn't love Eternals.
I put Eternals as the worst, and knowing their comic history and what that shit was about, and it just was abysmal.
Yeah.
And then
Like it wasn't even entertaining to me.
No,
you know,
Eternals was a pile of shit, followed by, you know what? Honestly, I didn't like Avengers: Age of Ultron. I thought it was as bad as Thor: The Dark World. It just didn't do it for me. But those are the bottom three, right?
Yeah.
So then we have this huge acclaim after Guardians of the Galaxy started getting their stride with the humorous Marvel movies, and then Ant-Man did it so perfectly. Ant-Man was such a good fucking movie because it was out of nowhere. I didn't think it was going to be that good.
Don't forget about Deadpool.
Well, you know, I'm talking MCU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just straight Disney MCU. Let's leave.
Gotcha.
Obviously, Deadpool is a whole different realm because they went R-rated
different
with it.
Yep.
And it's not owned by them, but now is owned by them. So figure that out. When I saw Thor Ragnarok for the first time after all this acclaim and all the mythology they brought into it from the comics, I said, wow, this is going to be really good. And then I felt like I was on an emotional roller coaster, but not in a good way with it when I saw Ragnarok, because you got all these bad things happening to Thor and his family, and then it's just like constant dick jokes. Like, it clashed to me. You know what I mean? Like the flow wasn't there. It didn't seem like there was a build and a payoff. It was no matter how bad things get, we're going to make stupid jokes. And I thought, well, I didn't really like it that much. It's not the worst. It's not fucking, it's definitely not Eternals. It was entertaining. There was some good stuff to it. All the nods to the Planet Hulk story. That was great.
Yep.
But then this one came out and it was the same fucking thing. And even worse, now it's not fucking, hey, the worst thing in the world to happen is Ragnarok and we're losing losing what the goddamn it. What's wrong with me? Their planet, whatever. Not Valhalla. Fucking Asgard. We're not losing Asgard, right? That was all right. We're losing Asgard. We'll make dick jokes. Okay. The subplot to this one was fucking cancer.
Yeah.
And it's constant jokes. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I was like getting a little uncomfortable. Like, not uncomfortable, like, this is Eternals and the biggest piece of shit I've ever watched. I don't want to watch this.
Yeah.
Like, this was not good in that. Like, I don't know. I always said, I said to you before we started the show, one fish is a fish, two fish is a pattern.
This is a pattern.
I know he's making money. I know. And the other thing, too, that really kind of pissed me off, and I looked at my wife when we were watching, and I said, what is this thing, a fucking commercial for Guns N' Roses' greatest hits?
Thank you.
Dude.
There was so much Guns N' Roses in there. And I even said, I remember saying it to Holly on the way out. I was just like, God, it was like every song felt like it was a Guns N' Roses song. And why?
Kids wearing Guns N' Roses t-shirts.
Yep.
Guns N' Roses
on the
posters
wall.
in bedrooms.
Yep.
I mean, I like Guns N' Roses. I like them a lot.
Too.
They're one of the best hard rock metal bands ever.
It felt forced, you know?
It was, it was. And you know what? God damn it. Fucking allergies starting already? Jesus. What kind of was odd at the end?
Yep.
The song for the credits was not. I mean, I get it how it works thematically, but it wasn't a Guns N' Roses song. It was Dio. It was Rainbow in the Dark. My son goes,
that's
what song is
right.
this? I go, I said, it's Rainbow in the Dark. And I said, I don't think there's any connection. There can't be. But I said, in Stranger Things, Eddie's always wearing a fucking denim jacket with a Dio Holy Diver patch on the back. What did I just watch?
I feel like there was some kind of a line of dialogue that tied it together, and I forget what it was. The rainbow, but it was
the fucking Rainbow Bridge, the fucking whatever they call it, the
and I think that's all it was. But the thing is, I don't know, like, and then I like getting to the Guns N' Roses thing specifically. Like, was it because it was Love and Thunder? They were like Guns N' Roses. We're that creative. Where did this come from? And
dude, not only that kid, he called himself Axel.
That's right.
Dude,
That's right.
We were besieged
was there a
by
cameo
Guns N' Roses
that we didn't know about? Like, was Slash like in the movie or something?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm literally left with this movie. Like all the Marvel stuff, I'm like, wow, the questions, what's going to happen next in the multiverse and this and that. Well, who's got the next Infinity Gem? Now I'm sitting here going, for the takeaways from this were Guns N' Roses, cancer, dick jokes. That's what I got out of this movie. It was entertaining.
Zeus
and
gets
goats.
played by crazy Aussies.
Dude, there were those goats screamed as many times as there were Guns N' Roses songs.
Oh, 100% they did. I mean, it's so weird because there's a certain element of Thor that's like that dumb guy humor. You know what I mean? Like, and they riff off of that. But I feel like sometimes, like, that's the thing. I will say this. Despite everything that you just noted, and I agree with and it makes sense, I did find it highly entertaining. And
I did too.
For me, I don't put any stock into... I almost consider the movies, regardless of MCU or anything, is just a loose interpretation of the comic series. You know?
Oh, completely. It's its own thing now.
I don't hold it to anything. I'm just like, am I entertained? Does this bring me joy for 90 minutes? Great. You know?
I guarantee I was the only person sitting in that theater that for the first 15 minutes when he's running around with the Guardians of the Galaxy was like, wow, he's in a Thor Thunderstrike outfit. You don't even know what that is, right?
No, but that's what that was.
Everybody in the 90s had some sort of fucking badass makeover with goddamn a vest or spikes or both or pouches or something, an armor. And Thor got it too. It was Thunderstrike Thor, where he wore a vest and he had pretty much the same thing on in those jeans and boots. That was his dark 90s outfit. But I was like, hey, he's wearing his Thunderstrike shit. And then at the end, some people that stuck around for the credits with us were sitting next to me and they had to look up what Eternity was. And I'm like, okay, so you're young and you guys haven't read the books. I thought in the books, Eternity and Infinity are twofold and they play a big deal in the Infinity Saga in the books, but they cut them out for the Infinity Saga for Marvel. I get it, but now they're introducing them as this whole universe, multiverse thing. Okay, that's fine. I get it. It's its own thing. Mm-hmm. But I'm left with that. It was entertaining. I stuck with it. It got a little too real with the cancer shit. And then the fucking goat jokes afterwards were just like, it was, again, a roller coaster of emotion it wasn't a normal build for a movie, I guess. It was too jostling to go back and forth between cancer, goat noises, cancer, goat noises.
I wonder if it's just that, like... I mean, it's no shock that we're getting older. But, like, I just wonder if it's maybe, like, the younger audience, the audience that's the target audience, that, like, they'll get 20 years out of these folks in these franchises. As long as the franchise keep going, that they cater toward... I don't know if it's the attention to detail or their just their attention span in general or what it is. But I feel like some of these movie makers and producers think a lot about like, well, we have to shape this in a certain way now. You know what I mean? And I think that because it's weird. Like I think about like, you're making great points and I'm just like, yeah, but like fucking there's some dark shit in like certain movies, but I guess where you're kind of coming from is it doesn't necessarily fit in this lineup of the MCU.
Well, no, I'm not even getting at the MCU. It could be about anything. This was his directorial style was like ADHD.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's up, down, like real bad, cancer, real good, goat noises. Like
that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's like aimed toward the TikTok generation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you watch the second Doctor Strange?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, I don't want to spoil it, but it's a Sam Raimi director.
Yep.
It has his flavor.
Yeah. Gross.
But it's a Doctor Strange movie.
Yes.
When you see it, you'll understand. Like, there's definitely some things like, wow, that is a signature Sam Raimi, but it's not like it doesn't disturb the flow of whatever story is going. Whether I don't even know enough. I mean, I had very, very little Doctor Strange comic reading.
Yeah.
But I know enough about it just with crossovers and stuff.
Sure.
But I know that in the 70s, Doctor Strange was a big horror book, and it was really good in the 70s. But it fit.
Yeah.
You got a horror director to do a horror type movie. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
And I've watched that twice now. I watched it again on Disney Plus the other day just because I thought it was so good. Not like the best, but it was highly entertaining.
What are your thoughts on the upcoming She-Hulk film?
I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think about it yet. we'll find out. I mean, there's been some awesome surprises from Marvel and some really weird shit.
Yeah.
We just watched the Ms. Marvel series, so that's the Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel. So there's going to be a Marvels movie coming up, I think, next year with all three of them now. So that'll be kind of neat to see how that plays out. I don't know. Like, what was the one before that? Vision and Scarlet Witch and Loki were fucking phenomenal. I thought, what was it? Captain America and the Falcon and Winter Soldier was so, but that was a ground establishing one because they brought a bunch of important stuff in that's been in that Marvel universe for decades.
See, I like that one a lot. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, well, the island of Madripoor is very, very important in Marvel. So the fact that they brought that in is huge.
Yeah.
So that's Wolverine's hangout. Wolverine always goes to Madripoor to fucking hang out and fucking raise hell and shit. And then, with the new Doctor Strange movie, and I don't want to spoil too much for you on this, but they brought in all sorts of multiverse shit, including mutants. And then they did it again in Ms. Marvel. There's mutant stuff in there.
That's
they're setting the stage.
You can see where it's going to head.
We're going to have the X-Men working with all these clowns.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not concerned about any of the comic book canon or any of that shit. It just seemed like it was disjointed as a movie, as a work of fucking film where I don't know. I don't think that was the way to go. And if that's his style, I just have to expect that. Again, it wasn't far, it wasn't the worst. It's just, if you were at a hospital with a cancer patient, you probably wouldn't be making dick jokes. You know what I mean? Like, neither would I.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I can't necessarily say that. I mean, I know some of my friends, man.
We are bad people, so it could happen.
We are
but it just
pieces of shit.
Yeah. Oh, cancer. Meh! Screaming goats. What the fuck is going on?
Well, and that's what
I
it
was left with it.
Those screaming goats, and that's what made me think of that, like that whole like meme culture, TikTok, like attention span thing was the screaming goats. That's the sample that they use is from that. I mean, they don't have. There's nobody paid for the screaming goat. You know what I mean? There's so far that I know, I think it's like royalty free. So why not? They can tie that to something so that even if somebody has never, ever, they're like, who's Thor? They would be like, the goats make that sound.
I'm pretty sure those goats were canon too. I think they came out of a Thor comic.
They did,
it was two rams. Rams or goats, one of the two.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think they kind of maybe chose to go with goats so that they could get away with using the meme sound.
I get it. I mean,
because rams, they're up on a mountaintop going, fuck. You can't do that. It's not a Deadpool movie.
Those bastard rams.
Bastard rams.
But there's my rant. I'm not as happy as I think I could have been with two Thor movies for no reason.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, man, that's rough. That's a rough afternoon watching those two.
Well, I just watched one. I mean...
Yeah, no, but I mean, imagine having to sit through the two. No, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, Ragnarok, I was waiting to see what would follow, I guess, and here we are. But I mean, look at how it played out. Like, Ragnarok brought us to basically fucking Infinity War and Endgame, and those are two of the best finishes to a segment of movies, I think, ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
When it comes to Marvel, where are you as far as, like, the Netflix stuff?
Okay, so I know there's some good, some bad. I haven't watched any of it.
Yeah.
Because it was for a while considered not canon. Now some of it is, but they're bringing it in.
Yeah.
Like, especially in the Spider-Man universe with what Daredevil and Kingpin came in.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yep. And even I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC was considered non-canon.
Yeah, I think so.
So I don't know.
I never got into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at all. Like, I never got into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at all, but...
Well, I almost did, and it was one of those things I didn't bother watching it, but did you know the character they brought in on that, right? They brought in the third Ghost Rider.
No,
Robbie
I didn't
Reyes.
know that.
So instead of having a flaming motorcycle, he's got a flaming fucking muscle car.
Oh, no, I didn't know that. That's fucking cool.
So the first Ghost Rider was Johnny Blaze. He had a flaming fucking old like Indian-style motorcycle.
Yep.
And then the 90s Ghost Rider, because everything was grim and gritty in the 90s, was Danny Ketch, and he had a motorcycle that had like a fucking shield demon head thing on it.
Yeah.
And then the third Ghost Rider, I believe was Danny Reyes, and he had a flaming, like, I don't know, it was a flaming Thunderbird. It was awesome.
That's cool.
they just threw that in, and if it was one of those down times in comics, and all of a sudden you got a new Ghost Rider running around, but they brought that into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't know if they did graphics for it. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's all these little nuggets they tried to put in, and
oh yeah,
who knows?
It's just I would recommend if you haven't seen any of the Netflix stuff, the Daredevil stuff is great.
Yeah, I've heard it is. And
Jessica
obviously
Jones is great. Yeah,
he must have done a good job because he showed up in the MCU. So
yeah. Oh yeah, man. It was like Daredevil stuff is really good. Punisher, I expected a little more from, but I wasn't disappointed either. You know, it's just different than you would kind of expect. Although compared to like, have you seen the other Punisher films?
You know which one I saw? The only other one I've seen was the first one in like, what is it, 88 or 89 with Dolph Lundgren?
Yeah.
Doesn't even have a skull on his chest. Like, dude, how can you be the Punisher with a big white skull on your chest? Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember that one. I remember watching that one. It wasn't bad other than that. I mean, it was what it was. It was well before comic movies, you know, a decade before comic movies were even really seriously out there.
Oh,
you know,
definitely. It was not the norm, and it definitely not as popular.
And we had a discussion last night. I was over at my sister's house about The Boys. Have you been watching The Boys?
Oh, I like The Boys a lot.
Okay, so
it's a good show.
I unfortunately I haven't watched a single one because I read the books when they came out, 15 years ago, because that's been languishing in production hell, I guess, before it came out, 4 years ago?
I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, one of my coworkers asked me about it, and I was like, dude, I read the comics when they came out, and about that time, Garth Ennis is a great writer, and I think he did a run of this one book for DC called Hitman. It has nothing to do with the video game Hitman. Mm-hmm. This was a mockery of superheroes, and this Hitman run it's one of the few complete trade paperbacks I have.
That come out in like 92 or 93.
It started early. Yeah, it was in the 90s.
Okay.
It ran all the way through. It was 70 or 80 issues. It's some of the best written shit ever. Mm-hmm. And it mocks the whole superhero genre. So Garth Ennis, you see that in his stuff come up, and you see in The Boys. In the books, it got really bad. And I know that series is way over the top too, but I was like,
oh yeah.
It was at a time he wrote another book. It was a horror book, and it actually put me off comics. That's how
really
way over the top. I stopped reading. I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to a comic shop every fucking week and spending money on shit like this.
Yeah.
And it was just enough. And it was right around the time my kids were like 4 or 5. I'm like, you know what? I got other shit to do.
Yep.
I don't know. It was rough. But Garth Ennis, for all the great he's done with that Hitman run, there's some things that I didn't like. He did a bunch of war story stuff that were really graphic. I mean, really fucking graphic. World War II stories. So you can imagine.
Oh, no, wow.
Fucking shit on internment camps and fucking the amount of fucking rape in these comic books was way over the top. I was like, you know what? Garth Ennis, I just want to remember you as the guy who did a really violent Punisher series and the fucking Hitman stuff.
Yeah.
But that's what those two Punisher movies that had who the fuck was it?
I forget who it was. I saw it.
God.
I saw it somewhere. I watched it like in the last 5 years, maybe something like that.
Not the guy who did it on Netflix. Who I know it was
Yeah, no. The dude that did it on Netflix did all right.
He's in a bunch of other movies too. Why can I not remember this guy?
Hang on. You know what? We have the internet. We're gonna do this.
Yeah, find out his name. But those two Punisher movies were based off the Garth Ennis run, which was phenomenal. It got really deep into military stuff, and it was great. I thought those runs were great. But the stuff he was doing aside from that, the war stuff and
there's the Punisher in 1989. That's the Dolph Lundgren one.
Yep, Thomas Jane. Was it Thomas Jane?
Yeah, Thomas Jane.
So those two Punisher movies he did, those are based loosely off the Garth Ennis run.
Gotcha.
Which again was phenomenal. But then he was doing stuff on the side that literally got me to not read comic books.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Oh, that's right. John Travolta was in that.
Yep.
And Rebecca Romaine.
Yep.
Damn.
But either way, I mean.
Now, have you heard about Punisher Warzone?
That was the follow-up that didn't have Thomas Jane in it, right?
Yeah, the 2008. It's got Ray Stevenson in it.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of those. Again,
yeah.
I love the thing that set Marvel apart from DC from 1963 to about, I don't know, maybe 1992 or 3, maybe 4.
Yep.
No, maybe 95. I don't know. Some mid 90s before the bankruptcy thing. The thing that set Marvel aside from DC was they had a well-woven continuity, and DC Comics was just all over the fucking
They never
place.
had that.
It was a mess. Nothing mattered. You know, It was just stupid. And I read Marvel. That's why I read Marvel.
Yeah.
You get attached to those characters, and things happen to them, and I, followed their stories.
Exactly.
And then somewhere in the late 90s, Marvel either adopted the DC model or said fuck it, but then you got like a writer would come in for 12 issues and completely ignore what the past 5 writers did, and just completely establishing new mythos. Somehow in the early 2000s, J. Michael Straczynski, I mentioned his name a few episodes ago, he brought in this story with Spider-Man that it wasn't just a radioactive spider bite. It was a fucking spider god channeling his powers through the I'm like, what the fuck is it? Spider-Man. Yeah. He got bit by a fucking spider. Yeah. He can spin webs. The end. What the fuck?
You would think that they would throw something out there and say, like, don't fuck with the origins.
I know, it doesn't. But again, they got big name writers in. The big name writers would come in and say, "I want to do my take on it."
That's exactly it. It's almost like it was the writer and the artist were like the star. It wasn't about the character so much anymore. It was like, oh no, this issue was written by there's a change up, and then that's like it's almost like the writer's the feature.
Like
the rock stars.
In the late 90s, I would agree with you. In the 80s and the 70s,
it's different. Yeah,
like in the 80s, it really started being the artists, and then in the 90s, it was the artists.
Yeah,
the artists were the. I mean, dude, there was a Levi's commercial with Rob Liefeld, who did the New Mutants and X-Force. I mean, fucking come on, But whatever. I mean, comics are comics. It's all done. But yeah, there's my done. I'm done bitching about Thor, and I'm done bitching about Garth Ennis putting me off comics.
And with that, guys, I mean, that's what we got for this week's show. I would say, for not having a guest on, I mean, we've been talking for 2.5 hours, that's not bad. And some of that, you guys should know, is in between these breaks when we record with our jig head. So consider becoming a jig head. Go ahead to go to jigsandbigs.com. And we got a new shirt coming out very soon, guys. Very excited. It's the Ditch Pickle Tickler shirt. Get ready. That's coming very soon. You guys will be able to get that. It's a one of a kind, pretty much. Yep, tickle the still. Pickle. Guys, we're going to call this one a show. We will be back in 7 days with more Jigs and Bigs goodness that you don't want to miss out on. Trust me. Get out there and catch some fish. Stay well hydrated. Cover up from the sun, man. It'll get you. And like we always say,
tits and ass, smoke some grass.
why penises are shrinking, taints are shrinking, testosterone is declining in both male and female babies.
The comments. The comments. I have in fact never wondered why taints are shrinking. Not at all. What food should I eat for a larger, healthy taint? Just curious. This is all me and my family talk about it. I'm literally up at night talking about how small children's taints have become. It's such a problem. Taints! Somebody think of the taints! I saw your video that spinach and plastic is bad for my baby, so I took them to McDonald's instead. Thanks, bro. Are taints shrinking long ways or short ways? Who's measuring taints? Like, seriously? What's the average size of taints in the 1950s compared to 2022? Can you provide your references on this claim? My fingers are crossed that my taint is the right size if I have to be insecure about one more thing, I'm done.